welcome here. Today, my guest is Miss Laura Berman Fortgang. She is the CEO and founder of the A-List Coach. Laura, please introduce yourself and your company and tell us what you do, my dear.
Sir, hi. I am a master credential coach. I have been a coach for 3 decades. Feels like a long time, but I was just a little baby when I started. I'm the author of 5 books and a TEDx talk with over 2 million views. And I've had the privilege of being one of the first, I call myself one of the OG. So I've been around for a while. And now I work with coaches to help them learn the business side of the business, because we can all go to coaching school and get certified, but not everyone can make an impact and make a living at it. So that's what I help them do.
Absolutely. And it's what I always say, right? Normally, you become a coach because you love people, but you cannot forget that this is a business and the P&L has to move in the right direction.
That's right. That's right.
And a lot
Absolutely.
of people forget that. They do it because they're passionate about helping people and the value they can bring, and then they find themselves struggling to make it. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to love this conversation today because I love talking about that. So you do wear a lot of different hats as an author,
Yep.
mentor, coach, consultant. What initially drew you into this space? Because you've been doing it for so long. What got you into this?
Well, I was an actor and a waitress. But I was really into self-help and improving myself. And my career as an actor was semi-professional. So I spent half the year acting, half the year I was a union member paying my dues, half the year I was waiting on tables. So I became disillusioned with the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I really was lost. I didn't know what I would do. And I thought of an old mentor of mine and I called him and he's like, well, I've become a coach and maybe I can help you figure out what you want to do. I'd never heard of coaching. It was more proactive than therapy. So I gave it a try. And 2 years later, I was like, no, I want to do what you do. And I was one of the first people trained in the United States and one of the founders of the International Coaching Federation, which exists in 85 countries now to put, common sense and ethics to coaching.
Coaching now is such a common thing. What do you do? I coach. Who are you? I'm a coach. What do you do? Consulting, right? And essentially, there's a lot of people feeling like they're not getting the value for what they pay. But again, the coach is not investing in themselves to get to the next level.
I mean, you've got a lot of dynamics going on out there. Like it's coaching has come to mean anything that you learn one on one
Mhm.
is coaching. So it's lost its validity in terms of being something distinct. And if I were to define it
Yeah.
as something distinct, coaching is really like a technology of question asking. It's getting
Okay.
people to really uncover the layers of their situation themselves and causing transformation. Is there some consulting and advising involved? The honest answer is yes, even though,
Hmm.
a coach who studies for the test to get certified, they better not be telling people what to do. But in reality, having the background as a coach and trained as a coach means that you follow certain ethics and certain standards. And I think it puts the public in the best hands in terms of
Hmm.
the consumer. But coaching's come to mean many, many things. It has. And you want to look for somebody who gets the results. You want to look for those testimonials, look for a body of work that proves that this person can get you what you're going to pay for.
So, what's been the most surprising insight that you've gained about helping others transform their lives and their businesses?
We're human. That's not surprising. But what's surprising is like how much resistance people can have to doing the thing that they know they need to do that's going to get them where they want to go. So resistance is the most surprising thing. But the people who put their money where their mouth is and invest in themselves, including coaches investing in themselves,
Yes.
you're going to move the needle. You're
Hmm.
going to move it. You're always going to do better. I like to compare it to a trainer at the gym. Like, you can make a deal with yourself that I'm going to go to the gym and you can leave in 5 minutes and nobody knows. But when you have a trainer, you're going to look better, you're going to work harder, you're going to show up a different way. And that's kind of how coaching works too, is that you're going to show up differently when you're investing in yourself. And that's why I'm always mind blown when coaches themselves don't have a coach or don't invest in their own growth. It's like, well, then you're saying it's not worth having. So why should someone hire you?
And your expertise, you're not going to know it all, right? And sometimes you're going to go through your own obstacles, and this is something that I have said before. I always believe in having a coach as someone who is ahead of you when it comes to your relationship, right? Someone who can give you advice in money doesn't necessarily mean they can give you relationship advice, right? They have to be ahead of the curve. If you're going to get relationship advice, get it from someone who's been married for 20, 30, 40 years. And I feel like it's the same thing in business. If you can learn from someone who is ahead of the curve and they had to go through that challenge and that learning curve themselves and get to the other side and go through the struggles of starting out themselves and growing a business and getting to the next level, learning from those people is always a valid investment.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Anthony Robbins, he always says you have to have a model of what's
Hmm.
possible. You have to have, somebody you can look to that's done it or that, has a track record.
Success leaves clues.
Yes. Well, I'm always blown away by people who give parenting advice or who are parenting experts who don't have children. I'm like, that one doesn't compute for me.
Wow. Yeah,
I mean, we can all read the books, but nothing is the same as actually having to do it.
exactly.
And I'm
Yep.
speaking as a mother of 3, so there you go.
So, how has the consulting and coaching landscape evolved since you first started?
Well, in the beginning, no one had heard of coaching. So there was having to educate people on what it is and how it works. And now there's so many people who call themselves coaches. It's like people say, oh, I met 50 of you this week. So the biggest change is, people know what it is. People have a certain expectation. People might have had bad experiences, which, in the beginning, I was used to being like, yes, I had to educate people, but there was nobody to compare me to.
Mhm.
In a way, it was easier, but I think that's the biggest change in the industry and just how, like we said before, anyone can call themselves a coach. It's not a high bar. So that's why I really am impressed by anyone who goes through the trouble of getting some kind of certification and credentialing because you don't have to, but it definitely separates you from the pack.
Absolutely. What do you think makes you different? Because of course you have 30 years of experience. When it comes to the industry itself, there's so many coaches. It's so dense, right? Anywhere you go, you can find a coach, you can find someone who's willing to talk to you about business and family and so forth. What do you think, what value and what difference do you bring for the people and the clients that you see?
Yeah. I mean, I think I've built my reputation. I mean, 25 of my 30 years or 20 years of my 30 years, my reputation has been to help people figure out what they want to do with their life successfully. And I extrapolated a methodology, like a way that you can do this repeatedly and successfully. And that's what I teach other coaches is that if you have a body of work and you realize you have a method of your own, that puts you in a category by yourself. That makes you
Mhm.
special as it is. So there might be hundreds and hundreds of career coaches, but no one quite does it in this now what methodology that I teach.
Yeah,
So I think that has become a critical thing for people who are consultants or coaches is that you have a repeatable method that gets results and you can be known for those results.
absolutely. And what emerging trends are you seeing in how people actually approach personal and professional development?
Well, a lot of people are going to their chat box now and having conversations with Claude or ChatGPT. So I think that we're seeing that there's so much information out there. There's no shortage of information. So people aren't going to go to a coach for information. They're going to go to a coach for transformation. They're going to go to a coach for
I love that.
intuition or for connection, something that you cannot get from AI, at least not yet.
I don't think it will get to that point. And if it does, it won't be true. People don't believe it. It's just a computer.
Right.
He has no feelings. And I do talk to a lot of experts. I do speak with a lot of coaches and people who have been doing it for a long time. And that's exactly what they say. You cannot replace that human nature of understanding someone. I was just talking to someone yesterday about this on a podcast as well with Jamal, and he said, We cannot replace me being able to look at you eye to eye and say, That's not true. You are lying to yourself and you're truly trying to believe it. That is not your reality. This is what you need to do to get yourself out of it. And just reading body language and feeling the person's energy and their tone of voice, the way they look at things, and the way they're thinking about one word that you put out there that's making them stop and think and be more introspective of what it is that's being presented to them, that cannot be replaced.
I agree.
No matter how hard Elon Musk tries.
Well, I mean, you said it when you said, body language. And also, like, I've always worked before Zoom, I worked on the phone. So I wasn't
Mhm.
always seeing people in person,
Mhm.
but there would be like, someone holding their breath or
Mhm.
a pause or something that a machine can't pick up on that would make a difference in a coaching scenario.
100%, 100%. When it comes to, of course, AI is a big force right now that's driving a lot of changes in the coaching and the consulting space. What else are you seeing that's been driving changes to this environment and this industry?
I mean, in the executive world, in the leadership world, I get a lot of requests for executive presence. So that's another thing that AI can't talk to you about because I can't see you. But, what makes an executive presence? What has people respect you or see you as a leader? So that's something that I'm seeing over and over again. Um and also, in the small business world, just people needing to get more and more specialized. It's almost like we're going backwards in time, like when Little House on the Prairie, where there's the person who does the horseshoe, and there's the person who has the store, and the person who's the teacher, and the blacksmith, right? So I think that being specialized is what's happening as people can get information anywhere.
Someone was telling me that one of the most important things that a coach will be able to do is having that one to one with their clients, like a retreat, right? And they're really present in that moment so they can build relationships, other executive, other CEOs, and people in the same level as they are, that they can really learn from each other. And it's like you were saying, we're looking at the future. I feel like people will miss and they will value more of the organic of going back to having that one-to-one and having access to their coach that is beyond the screen.
Yeah. So that connection is really the piece that we're not able to replace with machines.
Absolutely. So tell me this, share a story about a particularly impactful client journey or someone that you're really proud of or something that really stands out for you.
Okay. There's so many of them. They're hard to come up with. Okay, give me a flavor. Like, do we want small business flavor, executive flavor, career transition flavor? What flavor do we want?
Career transition flavor.
Okay. So I was working with a CFO, a chief
Mhm.
financial officer of a media company, and they were in between jobs. And we really got to like the heart of the matter. Like, what is this person really about? Is it really about being a CFO, or is it about something else? And they really found more of a sense of purpose thinking about having some kind of business that was a lender to underserved communities and
Mhm.
not just like giving out money. He wanted, to train people in business and to help underserved communities, prosper and flourish.
Mhm.
That's where he started moving his career choices, so it wasn't going to be the next big CFO job, or maybe he'd do both, one on the side,
Huh?
as a nonprofit, and one in a money role. And so it was just really enlightening to see him understand that, he'd had probably one of the best jobs in the United States, but that it wasn't that meaningful to him anymore, and he wanted to do something more meaningful. And that was the people that I worked with for 20 years, people who wanted to do something more meaningful. And how do they marry that with still making money? Like, does doing something more meaningful always mean you have to do something philanthropic? Is it one or the other, or can you somehow have both? And he found a way to have both.
Wow. That's really interesting because essentially it comes down to that, right? Sometimes you always want to get to your next goal and your next goal and you're never and your next goal and you're never really content and you're never really satisfied with where you're at because the moment you hit it, you're giving yourself another goal and you want to keep on achieving that. And sometimes once you hit it and you get to the top of the ladder, you're like, what now? What
Right.
do I do now? And then I feel like one of the most fulfilling things that people can do is give back.
Yeah, I mean, I give that as general advice to anyone at any rung of the ladder. Like, it doesn't matter if you were already at the top or not, but if you feel lost in your life, do something for somebody else, and you'll start finding your own meaning and purpose for yourself, and it'll change you. It'll change you.
So doing something for other people will absolutely make an impact on you and the people that you involved in it too. What do you feel is a misconception about people achieving their goals and what holds them back?
Think a big thing is that people wait to feel like it.
Mhm.
Like, I got to feel like working out to go work out, or I've got to feel like it to make those sales calls. And the truth is, sometimes you don't feel like it, and nothing you do is going to make you feel like it. So it's doing the thing will make you feel better. People wait for feeling in order to take action, and you actually just have to take the action, and then the feelings get better. So, back to just do it. The best line ever.
Right? And just figure it out, get it done, and then just do what you got to do,
You
right?
got to do the hard things. You've got to take the action, and you'll feel so much better after you did. But it's not waiting to feel like it. It's just doing it, and then you'll feel better after.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And I can use it because I am not working out lately and I need to go back.
See? Because you don't feel like it.
And moving this a little bit now more into the business side, right? Where do you see the biggest opportunities for growth in the coaching and consulting space?
That's a good question. I wish I had my crystal ball. I'm not sure I have a great answer for you, but I think that, we are competing with AI, and there is a very competitive space right now. Also, the economy is tight. I mean, people are like uncertain and scared and don't know what they're doing. So I think that the people who can keep offering a service and offering a value that gets results, those are the people that are going to last the long term. So you have to be able to deliver those results. So if it needs better coaching skills, or you need to be more familiar with AI yourself, or you need to up your skills, I think that's how you're going to survive the long term.
And again, going back to AI, it is a tool that is here to help you optimize and maximize your potential because the reach is out there and it takes away from the small little tasks that you have to do that are very time consuming and really get you to focus and use your energy for things that are going to produce value. Right? Because the more value you get to bring to people, that consequently turns into revenue for you, a new sale or a new coaching opportunity, a new client, whatever that is. So everything consumes energy. Everything that we do is going to be using up some of our energy. So use your energy for the best things. Knowing how to manage your time is also very important, right? With you working with CEOs and executives and people in higher positions, that their job requires a lot of their time. If they let it go, they're going to work 24/7. So how do you normally coach them on that time management and that life work balance?
Yeah, one of the biggest things, especially with my executive clients and then business owners too, the coaches and consultants that I work with, is that you have to know what is the things that only you can do.
Mhm.
Like, what is your special sauce, your sweet spot, your responsibilities? And then everything else has to be done by somebody else. And I think
Mhm.
the hardest thing for people is to delegate, whether you're a small business owner and you're like, I can't afford to delegate, or you're an executive and you just don't know how to delegate because you're a control freak. Everyone has their own version of it. I mean, that's one thing that I think I do really well. That's why I have a lot of clear time in my schedule, is because I make sure other pieces are doing the parts of the operation that I can't. I mean, that I don't have to do.
Right.
The part that I have to do is coach people and create stuff. That's it. Everything else can be done by somebody else. And one of my CFO clients, this was exactly what we worked on. He doesn't have. He's There are other ways that he can show he cares about his people who he works with. He doesn't have to show up at every meeting. He has to only be at
Mhm.
the meetings that are necessary for him. So I think that's a challenge for both employed people with a job and self-employed people who feel like they have to do everything themselves because they're the only one-man show.
Absolutely. When self-employed people with a job, they are the job, they are the talent,
Right.
they are everything. So, what excites you the most about the future of personal and professional development and how things are different from when you started and then pre-COVID, post-COVID, and where things are heading now? What's exciting for you?
Human beings continue to evolve. And when there was like when I first started coaching, it was all about getting ahead and getting the promotion. Then it was about work life balance, and that was like the thing. Then we had, market crashes, and people had to learn how to be scrappy and finding jobs. Then we have COVID, and people had to learn how to work from home. So we are evolving. I mean, there's a lot of economic bad things happening out there right
Mhm.
now that are forcing people to make certain pivots. But ultimately, the outcome will be good for
Mhm.
hopefully our evolution as a species too. But, that's the part that keeps me interested is just when you think you've seen everything, then there's something new about humans that continues to evolve. Like we say in coaching, you can transform an organization, but we're doing it one person at a time when it comes to coaching. Or
Wow.
we're running a business through you, through the business owner.
And how are you adapting to all of that, all of the changes that you're seeing and things that I know people are going crazy over all the new tools and everything that's out there. And how can I replace the things I do? How do you handle that as a coach when they're throwing all of this at you and you're like, let's organize this thought first?
Yeah, I mean, I use AI to save time. I'll write something and then throw it in there, and it saves me a week of editing. I use AI to save time. I'm careful that I'm always studying, that I'm always staying current. Even though I work more with consultants and coaches now and small business owners, I still get people who know my Now What work and my TED Talks. I'm always staying on top of what are the trends in job search that are going on now, because people got smart about AI and put their resume through AI, and now recruiters don't trust resumes that came from AI because it's just copying the job description.
Hmm.
So it's harder to find a job in 2025 because you really have to find the people that are making the decisions. So LinkedIn is your best friend. So just staying up on trends is part of how we're going to evolve to the next level.
And talking a little bit about what you have, right? And your books and your methods and whatnot. So you have 5 books.
The Now What methodology for career clarity. So the book is Now What 90 Days to a New Life Direction.
There we go. So talk to us a little bit about your books and your now what and everything that you have going.
Yeah, I mean, Now What is my most popular book. That's the TEDx talk if anyone wants to Google me in
Mhm.
TEDx. And that one's for figuring out what you want to do with your life. My first 2 books were Take Yourself to the Top, which is kind of a corporate read, Living Your Best Life, which sounds like Oprah. It's more Oprah-esque.
Yala Van Zandt, that's
Yapa
she's
Van
with
Zant. Yep,
Oprah. She follows you?
yep, she does. We did a YouTube live together. I was on Oprah. I was on her show too.
Yes, but Yala, through her TV show, is who taught me that whenever you're going to someone's house, you never come empty-handed. I always bring a flower, I bring a basket, I bring something, and I actually taught my older sister how to do the same thing, but I learned it from the TV show.
That's so funny. I think I remember that episode. She's a good person. She's really cool.
Yes.
Then I wrote a book called The Little Book on Meaning because I went to interfaith seminary and became an interfaith minister. And at the time, all my clients were saying, I want to do something more meaningful. And I was like, why can't people find meaning in their lives? Like, meaning is, you make the
Mhm.
meaning is everywhere. So I studied 14 religions for 2 years and wrote the book, Little Book on Meaning, where we find meaning. And then the last book was called The Prosperity Plan. And that is all about keeping your eye out for opportunity. So each book kind of like was a different stage of my business and of myself and my evolution and what clients I was working with. And, now the book business is very different. Like anyone can write a book.
Mhm.
You're not closed out by the major publishers anymore. So that
Yeah,
opportunity is available to all the coaches that I work with. I'm like, have a book, your calling card.
yeah, 100%. And it is. It does build credibility, right? Once you say that you have a book, it's an Amazon bestseller, it's a this bestseller, then it's going to open other doors for you to be invited into other avenues of advertising and marketing for your own brand.
Yes, it does help.
What's the most common obstacle that you see holding people back from reaching their potential?
Themselves, just, whether it's self concept, how you see yourself, whether it's you're not in the mood, so you don't do it. I'm working with a group of coaches right now, and one of them just never wants to make those sales calls. And it's like, but that's part of being in business for yourself.
Right.
So being human is our biggest obstacle.
It's a blessing that you can make decisions for yourself, but sometimes you get in your own ways too. And that's what's keeping you from growing. You are.
That's right. Just say, get over yourself. Like there's something bigger than you out there. Just get over yourself. If you have something to offer people that is of value, then that's what you need to be focused on. It's not about you. It's about that
Mhm.
people get that value. So get out of the way and let them get it
And how do you help clients overcome that resistance to change?
in little bite sized pieces. kind of desensitizing yourself to the resistance. Like, okay, so make the first call, then
Mhm.
make another. It's not like do 50 calls. That's going to shut anybody down. Right? So you
Mhm.
make it bite sized so that people can succeed, because success breeds success. So set yourself up for success, make it easy enough that you can do it, and then do more.
And that's how you get keep momentum as
Right. And
well.
then and consistency.
It's all about what you do consistently that is going to make a difference in the long run. It's not about doing 50 calls in one day, but if you can make 10 every day and
Right.
that becomes part of your routine, you're going to do it for a lot longer. So, what advice would you like to give to someone looking to make a significant change in their life or their business?
Okay, let's see. Have a singular focus. What we do and the speed at which we lead our lives makes us go in so many directions. It's hard to get anything done. So
Mhm.
having a singular focus, like you say, for 90 days, I'm going to focus on making this book happen, or for 90 days, I'm going to focus on this health goal, or for 90 days, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z. Then you've integrated it into your life, and you're not being distracted and pulled in a million directions. Singular focus until you get there.
That's hard,
It
right?
is.
The consistency and
Well, I mean, life gets in the way, but you've got to keep coming back to what you say is important to you.
yeah. Again, that is Mrs. Laura Berman Fortgang putting her coach hat on and 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 giving us some advice here, which is amazing, right? With 30 years of experience, you've seen it almost all. You've been through a lot. You've seen a lot of people changing with the coaching sessions, with the advice and what you have to share with them. If you are bringing value to other people, it's not about you anymore. It's about your calling. It's about what is your what and why do you want it so badly, which I really do believe in that, really knowing where do you want to get to, what do you want, and why do you want it? Because a lot of people focus so much on the why, right? Everything is about why. I see it a lot in coaching. What's your why? What is your why? What is your why? But you're not, what do you want though? What is it that you're trying
And
to
I've
get
always
to?
said that if you can answer, who am I and what do I want, then the action steps become obvious. So it's not that hard. It just once you know who you are and what you want. Yeah, the why is motivating,
Mhm.
but that's where the singular focus comes in. That's what I want. Vroom, focus in. Once you know what it is.
Yep. And we also have the headliner. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I work with coaches to identify, extract, and package their own methodology. So we talk about what are the things that are going to make you money. We talk about messaging and positioning, and how do you become an A-list coach, right? So
Mhm.
I work with coaches in my program called the A-list coach. Headliner is a sample of that. And an A-list coach to me is not necessarily someone who's famous, but it is someone who's asked for by name, and they don't have to audition anymore,
I love it. I love it.
because they can help me with this outcome. So it is about having a specific result driven focus so that people know how to take advantage of what you have to offer.
And if you had a magic wand for your business today, what would it fix?
Well, it actually takes me outside of my business. I have a child with epilepsy who also suffers from an autoimmune condition called pemphigus vulgaris, which is very rare. And if I had my magic wand, I would cure both of those things. So that takes me outside of my business. But part of my why in my business is to make the money to be able to also help with those causes that matter to me.
And it goes back to giving back, right? Which is that conversation that we had. Giving back to people is always going to help you find that meaning. If you're empty and you're like it's missing something, give back and do something that is going to be meaningful to you. So that's beautiful. But when it comes to your business, when it comes to the things that you're doing and all of the things that you're seeing and where the industry's taken you, what do you feel is a bottleneck that a lot of coaches are facing right now, challenge that they're facing right now, and that needs to be fixed going into Q4 in 2026?
Well, I mean, it takes me to that, where we started our conversation. Because according to the International Coaching Federation, 82% of coaches close their doors within 2 years and don't make it as a business.
Mhm.
And that's why I pivoted from doing career coaching for helping you figure out what you want to do with your life to doing career coaching for coaches, is that I want to eradicate that. That means only 18% of coaches make a living at it. And I want to turn those numbers around and have it be 82% make a living at it and only 18% fail. So that's my why.
Sometimes you're trying to get to that seven-figure coach, and the six-figure coach is looking up to them. And then you have the ones who are trying to break the six figures, and speaking with someone and having access to that person who's already there would make all the difference. So flipping those numbers around is a beautiful mission to have.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to track the people who are trying to break through to six figures. I've been in six figures for years and I'm still working on my seven figures, but you always have to have somebody who's ahead of you. So that's
Mhm.
I've made it through all these years in high six figure land, and so I help other coaches come into six figure land.
So, thank you so much for sharing your insights today. I know that people will get a lot of value from your experience and your perspective on things. And before we wrap up, tell everyone how to find you online.
Yeah, if you see my name in the bottom corner there, laurabermanfortgang.com, just Google my name, you can find me. And I hope you'll join me for Headliner. And thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Deborah.
Coach Laura Berman Fortgang, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your story, and these powerful reminders about the importance of giving back, continuous self improvement, and the importance of having a coach to get to the next level. For our listeners, don't forget to follow Laura Berman Fortgang on social media and check out her books. And if you're a consultant, founder, or business leader looking to optimize your system, scale sustainably, and create a business that supports your life, not the other way around, connect with us at Pulse AI Solutions. I'm Debora DeSousa, and this has been the Consulting Code, the Expert Series.